Hi, Vincent. Hello. Can you hear me? Hello. I can't hear you. I can hear you now, Vincent.
Hold on one second. I'm trying to get it on my, hold on. Hello?
Hello.
Okay, my headset's not gonna work. I'll just have to.
You sound nice and clear anyway.
Okay, hello?
Oh, you sounded better before.
How do I sound now? I don't sound that good?
Not as clear as you did before, without
Is
whatever you did.
it unbearable
But I can
or?
hear you fine. It's a difference between FM and AM, if you know what I mean.
Okay, it's easier for me to talk on my headset than it is for me to. I don't want to have to hold the phone in my hand. So if you don't mind talking like
No.
this. So, oh my God. You know, I went to go see one of my therapists today, and
How many have you got?
I've two,
Mm.
and we were talking about. Well, she brought up what we had talked about last time about faith-based versus works-based, and because Christians are so much against works-based religions, you know what I mean? And
I don't know what that means.
so works-based means you can get into heaven by being a good person and not being a bad person. And faith-based means that you don't get into heaven based upon your works. It's not what you do in life. It's just your faith in Jesus Christ and his grace.
Right. So one is predestination and one is free will, basically.
No, they're not necessarily. No, one says that if you good deeds and don't do bad deeds, you'll get into heaven because of your deeds. Whereas one says it doesn't matter what you do in life. It doesn't matter if you're good or bad. Jesus has got your back.
Yes, that would be the Calvinist view. Yes. Because the Calvinists believe
No, not just Calvinism. Almost all Christians are faith-based. It's faith-based. It's faith-based salvation. It's grace. So the thing about Christianity, you cannot deserve to get into heaven. Okay, like you can't deserve it. There's nothing you can do. You can't feed 1 million people in charity and get into heaven. You can't. Likewise, even if you do something really bad, you can still get into heaven. It's grace. It's Jesus has out of his goodwill made sure you can get into heaven because you believe in him.
Yes, I understand that, but and I suppose okay, what happened when Christianity was first rolled out through the Catholic Church was basically the priesthood saying, come to us if you want your sins forgiven, and that kind of thing, because we are the final authority on earth about who gets to heaven and whether a priest will grant you absolution or not. I think that was basically the first Catholic position, and after that, during the Reformation, the Anglican Church must have been saying, well, we either offer the same service as the Catholic Church or we don't. right? And Calvinists, that there is no sort of um, state church of Calvinism, right? Because the whole basis of Presbyterianism is, I mean, they basically run like mosques, and mosques are there to serve the people who go there, and there is no central authority. There's nobody, above the mosque to tell the mosque, what to do apart from the government, and and that is basically the difference between all these different kinds of Christians. So basically, non-denominational Christians are saying we're not accepting the authority of the Pope or the Archbishop of Canterbury, who will be taking orders from the King, the monarch, because that was how it used to be structured. Well, it still is structured that way, but the King Charles doesn't really do, well, I don't think he gives them, many instructions. But we know from the Reformation, from, what Henry VIII did, that it was important to him that he was actually the head of the Church of England, which is what British monarchs have always been. But for the sake of appearances, he's obviously not going to be the one performing all the ceremonies, because he needs one bishop of Canterbury to anoint him. Did you watch the whole thing on last year on um, TV, where the coronation of King Charles?
No, I did not watch that.
Anyway, I mean, you didn't actually see, the anointing, but it was behind a screen. But the whole, and I knew before that there was, does the oil come from Jerusalem, because it's got to come from Jerusalem, or otherwise it doesn't count. And I knew that the Jewish aspect of the anointing oil counted. So what I'm trying to say is that over the centuries, there were all these different kinds of Christians. They didn't agree with the Pope. Then they questioned the authority of the Archbishop of Canterbury, and they had their own, view about things. And John Calvin, basically provided for the needs of the Swiss, who were a republic, right? I mean, Switzerland is a republic. I mean, yes, they had to believe in the Trinity, but the Swiss bankers, they need to do a whole bunch of things like lend money, or using usury. And John Calvin said, "Don't worry about it. A little usury is not really usury." And he said popular things, and played around with the theology, with the consequence that as a Calvinist, you don't need to go to a priest to say, "Oh, please, can you just forgive me my sins?" and whatever, because Calvin obviously didn't have the wherewithal to give them all these churches and the priesthood and whatever, because the ground had already been occupied by the Catholic Church and the Anglican Church. And obviously, if you were the monarch, you would have the resources to establish a church, and even if you didn't, you basically kick out the Catholics, and say, well, all the Catholic churches, etc. Well, they're now, they belong to the crown. So that, I think, was what happened. I haven't read any books about it, but it makes sense. And so Calvin was saying, don't worry about not getting these pesky priests to forgive you your sins. You can do it yourself. And so the answer was yes and no. Predestination is a Calvinist, principle, and I guess they were just saying, only God knows whether you're saved or not. So don't worry about it too much. If you're saved, you're saved. If you're not, you're not. But I mean, obviously, there will be people who will, interpret it in such a way as to say it doesn't matter what you do, because God already knows you're getting to heaven. So don't worry too much about it. But antinomianism isn't confined only to Calvinists, because as you were saying, obviously as a Christian, you're going to say, well, don't we at least have to be Christian to get to heaven? And the answer was yes. So if you want to identify yourself as Christian, you have to believe that Jesus is God. So that's a prerequisite. But then there are all these sort of questions about who's going to forgive you your sins. And then there's also this argument like, well, didn't Jesus already die for our sins? So we don't have to worry too much about whatever. But anyway, I think Calvin was very, very, very clever at identifying the what's the word, gaps in the market, and by saying the right thing, became very powerful indeed. Particularly when he was saying usury is okay to all those eager beaver Swiss bankers. And he also became very popular in the Netherlands, because the Dutch were obviously very keen to trade and fight wars with the British and send and of course there was the Dutch East India Company, and they have to raise capital for it and that sort of thing. So there were economic and political reasons for Calvin to say the things he did, in the form of this tulip thing. So do you want to go through the total depravity, unconditional election, limited?
Yeah, let's look it up. Calvin tulip.
Yeah.
Calvin tulip.
Because just today I was saying that he really was the most evil person. Out of all the
total depravity, unconditional election, limited atonement, irresistible grace, stands for preservation of the saints. But wait, is it unconditional, irresistible grace? Well, I know that one of these allows my cousin to just fucking murder, rape, steal, and she can get into heaven. I forget which one it is.
Yes, and I know I sent you this post by about, I think it was called this hyper Calvinist, who basically said that it's predestined that you're going to get to hell or heaven, so don't worry about a thing and just do what you feel you need to do.
I know that Calvinists have a problem in that they don't like to evangelize because they just believe that God would bring it to you himself. They're not very evangelistic people. That's not true of all of them. That's not true of all of them. But I've read on Calvinist websites where they've said things like, people think that, people are just going to be drawn to the church whether you evangelize or not. So it doesn't really matter. These things are important. Like, what you believe is important because it affects your behavior, just like works-based versus grace-based. Is, obviously you want a works-based religion. You don't want a grace-based religion, because if you tell people if they do good deeds, they'll get into good heaven, then people are going to do good deeds. If you tell them they don't have to fucking do a thing to get into heaven, then, then they won't.
Exactly. So obviously Calvin he wasn't really interested in morals so much as making a name for himself, because there were these countries, these mercantile countries like Holland and Switzerland, who were chomping at the bit to borrow and lend money on usurious terms. And he had to somehow play around with the theology to give people what they want. and I guess he understood that people who believe in God, the kind of double-minded about, is it free will or is it predestination? And surely God, if he knows everything, already knows whether we're going to end up in hell or heaven. And I guess the point is that we should still follow the laws because we don't know where we're going. God may know, but we don't know, and we have to take an optimistic view. Rather than think, oh, I'm destined for hell. It doesn't matter what I do. I might as well enjoy being evil. But I mean, who is anyone to know where they're going to end up? So yes, it is very corrupting, and so it's no surprise that so many people are so corrupt. I mean, for the Presbyterian Church, I'm sure the appeal of it is sort of like, some people maybe just like the, usury is okay aspect of Calvinism, and other people just, maybe even like the predestination idea of Calvinism, and yet others may just think, I hate the church. I hate the way it's organized in the Catholic Church, in the Anglican Church. I just like going to a church where the church is responsive to the needs of the congregation. So I think the appeal of Calvinism is, has it would be, different strokes for different folks about what they liked about Calvinism. But yes, I mean, looked at purely from the standpoint of, who gets to heaven, the tulip thing, it is, obviously, not that appealing.
Well,
But then, he was basically a grifter, was Calvin.
maybe.
He, do you know, somebody called Michael Servetus was burnt at the stake for denying the Trinity. And Calvin was in communication with him, and then basically got him burnt at the stake. There is a Wikipedia entry. So I mean, there are all kinds of shenanigans going on. I don't really know the full story, but obviously at the time it was very significant and very important and could get you, very thoroughly cancelled if you said the wrong thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I mean, this again confirms how corrupt Christianity is. But anyway, Calvinists believe in the Trinity, and obviously, the different kinds of Christians who don't quite believe in the Trinity, the Unitarians, and but they all came from America because they with the First Amendment they could create their own religion, and this they did in well, America is the land of cults. But I'm saying that for people to follow their religion properly, the instructions have to be clear, and the values that it promotes have to be, well, healthy. I mean, for the good of the group, of the religious group involved. And we can imagine that a group that basically said murder and rape and robbing each other was okay. So if because that group wouldn't last for very long, and they'd soon either all kill each other or be attacked by other people. So we're supposed to be talking about how philosophy might give us the the gravitas we might need to promote our ideas. So,
Well,
so
the
what?
thing is, I don't really know that much about philosophy. Like, I read Plato, but I can't remember. I read Plato's Republic and can't remember anything about it. I know there's all these like discourses and, this, some philosophy I have found to be, um, I think there was a philosopher, Democritus, who, you know, was he the laughing philosopher? Hold on. Democritus laughing. Yeah, Democritus laughing philosopher.
I don't think
Uh,
I know him. What is he?
Epicurean. Epicurean philosophy. I think he was the one that said, everything is made up of the random movement of atoms. So, nothing matters, and so whatever. I know there's like, Epicureanism. I don't know enough about all these things, but to me, it's like, these are things we don't know, can't know. I mean, there's certain things that we can know. Like, I would say, okay, like determinism, at least determinism is philosophy, but at least it's a philosophy that's backed by science. And you can say, okay, well, everything that we see in the world is deterministic. And also, if something's random, that doesn't mean we have free will, because randomness does not give free will. It would need to be intentionally moved. It can't randomly move. That doesn't mean you have free will. If the atoms in your brain are randomly moving, that's not free will. So, determinism is at least a philosophy but there's something concrete behind it. There's something like hard and fast behind it that I can point to. I can do scientific experiments. We can research determinism. We can research these things. So I do spend time on that, but like these other things, like, all these pie in the sky and what ifs and who knows and all this other kind of stuff. I really have no time for it. I never got into it, and I'm not very good at it. And I do. Obviously, I spend more time on bread and butter issues. Well, I do care about. So we're talking about, okay, obviously I care about whether you have a grace or works-based religion because how it behaves. Like, yeah, I'm interested in philosophy and like how it makes you behave. Like, if you believe this, then you'll act like this.
Sure. There's this precept in Buddhism called that goes right thought, right speech, right action, which I think means, you have to have the right theory, and then you have to express it correctly, and then you might even, put theory into practice, and then you get your result.
Yeah, whereas I hate that Zoroastrian good deeds, good thoughts, good actions. I've met so many Zoroastrians that like won't get into heated debates with you because it's like, oh, I'm supposed to do good words, good deeds, good actions. They've told me I've had debates with Zoroastrians online before, and they always cut it off because they're like, I'm not supposed to like weigh myself down with this dirty speech. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to be.
I haven't met any Zoroastrians, but I don't imagine that they're very sophisticated because they haven't got a proper book.
Yes, they do. They have the Avesta.
Um, I don't think it's very sophisticated. Compared to the Torah or the Quran.
Well, you don't want to be too much of a goody two shoes either. You know what I mean? Like that, people, so these very, very goody two shoe Christians that, I remember I was out in field service as a Jehovah's Witness once, and we got to this woman's door, and she was talking to us, but she wasn't allowed to debate scripture and her religion. And so we couldn't have a conversation with her because she's not allowed to debate. And like, what kind
But
of
you know
fucking.
what religion she was?
She was some form of Christian, but she wasn't allowed to debate scripture.
Oh. Or maybe she was just told not to in case, they get disheartened when they lose a debate. But I think that's probably because, their belief system is so weak and easily torn apart. And that is presumably why they were told not to bother debating anyone in case, their opponent destroys their faith.
Yeah, I know, but that makes you like, you can't debate scripture. Like, you can't have a conversation with somebody of a different belief from you. Like, that's weak. That's not a good. That's not. How would you even convince someone of your religion if you're not even allowed to debate with them?
Well, I suppose if it's a religious group of low expectations, it's sort of like, well, as long you were born into our group, we're not really looking for new people. We just want to keep ourselves to ourselves, and we want to keep the people that we have, and these are the weaker religions. I believe that that's how Zoroastrians go, and they haven't been that successful. The successful religions are the scripture based. I mean, scripture in the sense of divine revelation, because it's more than just sort of writing stuff down. It is claiming that your scripture came from God, and immediately it raises the status of your scripture.
In whose eyes? You say, in whose eyes? It doesn't raise. So anyone can claim their scripture comes from. The Book of Mormon
No, but
says
they
the case.
didn't, did they? So there's only two religions in the whole wide world that say that scripture comes from the creator of the universe.
Yeah, well, I don't, that doesn't impress me much, to be honest with you. Anyone could make that claim.
Yeah, but they didn't, and it's too
Yeah,
late.
well, first of all, I don't know that nobody else made that claim. I don't know if Zoroastrians say that their scripture didn't come from God. I'm not 100% sure of that. But even if, so what? It's like, ha, 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 ours came from God. Which God? Who? Where is this God?
There's only one God, it's the most
Can you
powerful.
show me? Where is this God?
Can't, because you can't be, because the third principle of Judaism says you can't see him.
Yeah, well, that's very, that's very convenient for these people that are making.
That's right. But because they have these rules, you can't win an argument against them.
Well, they can't win an argument either.
Yes, they can. I mean,
no, they can't. You can't. All you're saying is our invisible God said so, and oh, that's it. We win. No, I don't.
No, of course, you can say, well, you have to say something to try and undermine the position.
No, you can't undermine it. You give people something. I cannot undermine something outside of space time because you cannot prove it or unprove it, so it's pointless. And to just throw that in my face, I'm not going to respect you.
Well, but the point is that these Jews and Muslims have been around for a long time, so obviously it's worked for them. And they win the arguments against Christians.
Well, other people have been. I mean, you always say that they're not that successful, or they're not that unsuccessful either. Hindus have been around longer. People
don't respect them because they're obviously not that great in how they've conducted themselves, and India is in poverty, and there are not that many Buddhists, and they don't have any great empire. So,
Buddhists have several countries. Buddhists do have several countries. It's not a nothing religion, but
Tibet and Thailand and Sri Lanka. Well, it's not that great.
Well, but Muslim countries are not all that great either, and Buddhism has been around longer than Islam. And I don't know if Buddhism doesn't. I have to research it to say if it's not. I don't know if they say it's not divine revelation. I mean, I'm sure. Look, the New Testament is inspired by God, and that's enough for Christians to follow it, and it's the world's largest religion. So if the world's largest religion doesn't need divine revelation, then that flies in the face of what you believe. The largest, most successful religion on earth.
That was because of the Spanish, British, and American empires. People don't adopt a religion because they think it's true. They adopt it because they want to marry somebody that they couldn't otherwise marry if they don't convert, or they convert to get a better job.
Yeah, so, some people, Claire, you just think everyone on this earth is a disingenuous piece of shit that doesn't believe in what they say, and I just don't fall for that. I think my mother actually does believe in Jehovah. I don't think she's just paying lip service. I don't think she fucking isolates herself from the whole world and, has no friends because she doesn't believe in God.
Okay, well, I obviously it's done something for her. I mean, she's got herself a community. Yes.
Yes, but, I don't believe that. I believe she believes what she believes, and I believe Mormons. Okay, yes, there are Jack Mormons who don't take it that seriously, but there are Mormons who take it very, 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 very seriously.
So your mother, I mean, she's quite an active member of Jehovah's Witnesses, isn't
Yes.
she?
Yes.
Well, okay, so, maybe she just liked a new community and hated her old one. What kind of Christian was
No,
she
but
before?
I think I don't know what kind of, she wasn't really much of one, but she was a nominal Christian that really didn't, I don't know if she didn't take it seriously. She wasn't very religious, so she never really talked to me about Jesus or anything prior. But
Oh, she converted after she was your mother,
yes, she
after you were
convert
born.
after I was born. Yes, there was a time I was raised for a while as a non-Jehovah's Witness, and we never really learned about, I don't ever remember my mother giving me a lesson about Jesus or giving me a Bible or reading to me from the Bible. I don't remember any of that. She wasn't into all that. And then, but I think she didn't just, well, first of all, my mother shopped around for religion. She didn't just like, oh, I need a religion. Let me find a community I like that are good to me and let me become a Jehovah's Witness. No, she went to every church on earth and she read the Bible and she did this and she did that. And I had to get dragged to every church in Christendom before,
Really?
before she, before she actually found what she wanted.
Tell us about your childhood memories of going to different kinds of churches.
Oh God, it was horrible. It was I went to 50 different fucking churches, before we eventually converted to Jehovah's Witness.
Oh, you counted them. Wow. So can you remember the different churches she took you to?
Yeah, she took me Lutheran, Methodist, Episcopalian. We went to Methodist. We went to charismatic churches. I remember those charismatic churches were very disturbing. They were
Well,
very,
they spoke in tongues, those people.
and they would be screaming, like they'd be up on the pulpit. God wrestled me last night, and I said, "Let me go." Like they were just crazy.
And for some reason, any other denominations that you can remember and tell us?
No, no, I can't. I was young. So I don't remember them all. But I do remember never being in the same church twice. I do remember that, never being in the same church twice.
Well, was there one that you said, "Well, Mom, can't we go to that one that I liked?"
No, I mean, well, the Lutheran church, I remember the Lutheran church. See, all these other churches were so, the charismatic church was at least like, they would get up and they had these scriptural talks, and it wasn't, the Lutheran church and the Methodist church were so fucking, they would sit us down and we would color, and like everything was so kind of like, just like coloring books and little trite little itty bitty little lessons about Jesus that were just so shallow and so meaningless. And it did I, as a young child, did I prefer the Lutheran church? Yeah, because I would go there and color in coloring books. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
yeah, it's, but yeah, but like when you got to the Jehovah's Witness, oh my God, no, that, first of all, you get a home Bible study. But the Jehovah's Witness, first of all, okay, so this is how it happens. They come to your door, they meet you, and then they might invite you to the church, and you can go to the church, but a lot of people, not the church, the Kingdom Hall. A lot of people decide not to go to the Kingdom Hall at first. They just get a home Bible study. So they come to your home once a week, and they teach you the Bible out of a book. They have a companion book that they teach, like a teaching book, and then the Bible. So you have to read both of these. You have to read the Bible and the companion teaching book. And you do that for about 6 months. For probably about 6 months.
Mhm.
And so you get a full understanding almost before you ever even enter a Kingdom Hall. But some people, yes, like they'll start a home Bible study and then they'll start attending Kingdom Hall at the same time. Some people do it that way, but you go through so my first experience was these two old German couple that were from Nazi Germany would come to the house, and I would have to sit there for an hour and go through this Bible study. And do you really think that I enjoyed that? I mean, that wasn't enjoyable as a child. And of course, I would rather be coloring books and that kind of
Mhm.
thing. But no, I mean, with that religion, it's very deep, thick, heavy, scriptural. It's very deep, thick, heavy, scriptural, and which everyone, of course, that's, all the cube would call that autism, and and of course other Christians, they look down on that. They look down on that. I mean, it's like, if your child isn't playing on the iPad in church, then there's something wrong with you, with most Christians, and but no, we were never allowed to. I mean, you weren't allowed to. The children, even the young children, they would always have talks on it all the time. The young children, they weren't allowed to, they said, don't let them play on the phones. Even if they can't read, you have to force them to sit there quietly and listen to the whole thing. And even if they can't read, make them hold the book and make like they can pretend that they're going along with you, and put them through the motions. And there were no coloring books. There's no child Sunday school in Jehovah's Witnesses. There's no separate instructions for children.
Oh,
Yes,
so you all had to sit quietly while the whole thing was going on.
yes, and I remember they would give lectures, and they say children know how to manipulate you, and even the young. I mean, these were young children, like 2-year-olds. They're like, they know if they start making a fuss, they'll understand if you take them out of the kingdom hall every time they make a fuss, that they can make a fuss, and then they get into the back room. So what you have to do is if they're making a fuss, you take them and you have to discipline them, and then you have to bring them back into the room, and you have to continue to do that until they get the point that they're not allowed to make a fuss in the kingdom hall, and they have to sit there. And they were very, but no, there's no separate instructions for children. There's no children's meetings. There's no Sunday school, nothing. Children get the same precise instruction. There's no they do have books. Okay, they had one book. It was called Your Youth Getting the Best Out of It, and it was for like teenagers or for 12-year-olds or 11-year-olds to read. But it wasn't like that's the only child. They had one book, and they had my book of Bible stories for young children. It was a children's storybook, but the parents would read it with them. So, but like when it came to Bible study, it wasn't like you started out at low level. It wasn't like they teach everyone that same deep, thick, dense stuff, whether you're 6 years older or 60 years old. You get the same instruction manual.
Mm-hmm. But in the end, did you enjoy it a little bit?
Not at the time. No, I was very ungrateful for that at the time. I wanted to be out playing with my friends, and I didn't want to sit in my house with 2 old people, reading about deep esoteric prophecy. That's not what young children want to do.
No. I'm just thinking of how I could make secular Quranism fun for children.
Well, you have to have those really graphic pictures like the Jehovah's Witnesses have, with like mothers being whipped. You have to have pictures of the whippings, and then it has to be really graphic and really like kind of like propaganda. Like if you look at Jehovah's Witnesses, I don't know about their new material. They've cleaned up a little bit. I noticed that they've become more like, when I was a child, the books were very like obvious propaganda. You know how you can tell by a picture when you're looking at propaganda because of the way it's so like sensationalized. It was very sensationalized pictures. They have sensationalism, and it was sensationalized, vivid, graphic, over the top pictures and things like that. And I think that they've calmed down on that a little bit, though I'm not sure. The pictures, I haven't looked at their recent literature, but there's less pictures, and they seem to be less like insane than they used to be. But I mean, that's just trivial stuff. The doctrine is really still there. And no, they've never liberalized. They've never gone through a reform where they've liberalized. They've kind of kept to their guns, and are not, you know, they're very serious, and they get rid of you if you're not towing the line, or you get put on an inactive list if you're not coming to all the meetings, and
Mhm.
you know what I mean? People won't want to hang out with you if you're not going to the meetings. They're not gonna, they might come and say hello and say, why aren't you coming to the meetings more? But if you're known to not be coming to the meetings, like, you won't get invited to parties, you won't get invited to functions, these different kinds of things.
Mhm. Have you experienced other religions other than Hinduism? Did you kind of have a look at other kinds of religions?
No, because I learned, because I had to learn about other religions. And the thing is that, everyone's like, oh, Jehovah's Witnesses, they're so weird. Come on, 99% of the doctrines of the Jehovah's Witnesses is the same as regular Christians. When Christians fight over, oh my God, they're so like wayward, it's not really big things. They believe in 99% of all the same stuff. It's all the same stuff, 99%. So if you were raised Jehovah's Witness and you realize you don't like it, I realized I didn't like Christianity, so I wasn't interested in trying anything else Christian. I wasn't interested, and then I knew I didn't want to become Muslim because it's just the cousin of Judaism, and that's not what I wanted either. So I looked outside of that.
Mhm. Did you try Buddhism?
No, I did not try Buddhism.
Do you wish you had?
I don't know.
Do you know any Buddhists to get an impression of them?
Not particularly.
Do you, and what is your impression of no-hides, your favorite subject? Haha.
Well, I don't agree with the values, but I mean, I agree. I think they have principles. I think they have principles that they hold to.
Hmm. Well, I suppose ultimately that is really the kind of meat and what's that called?
Meat and potatoes.
Potatoes, yes, of religion, that the rules. It defines a group, so people can say, oh, look at those people, better don't give them pork, or give them beef, or that sort of thing. So it's a kind of self-defining, and so well known that other people know what you get up to. And I guess, Jews and Muslims are the most famous because everybody thinks, oh, yes, Jews, they keep the Sabbath, don't they? And they can't eat shellfish, they can't eat pork. And, people know about Muslims not gambling and drinking and that kind of thing. So they have a very distinct identity because people who people know what they're supposed to do and not supposed to do. So Stephen has popped up to say, you'd make a great Hare Krishna. I can give him the link in case he wants to join us.
Hello?
Yes. Stephen's in the
Oh,
chat, and I'm giving him the link.
yeah, that I could be a Hare Krishna. Hold on.
Did it ever appeal to you, the Hare Krishna? I don't know what Vincent's doing. Anyway, I posted the link to Stephen. He may join us shortly. And Vincent's obviously doing something else.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. I thought you'd gone.
No, I'm here.
Mm-hmm. So have you considered Hare Krishna?
No, they're very conservative.
So you basically wanted to worship idols and be gay, and they told you could.
Who told you I could? No,
The Hindus. The
not
Hindus.
really. Not really. I just assumed that, but not really.
Right. And nobody said, look, this isn't really what we do. You better not.
Eventually
Right.
they did. Not at first. They kind of just let me, because I was being very helpful. I was, exposing how Islam was attacking them and doing all this other kind of stuff to them. And
Mhm.
I was advocating for, against their genocides. And so I was very useful to them. And so they didn't really, they didn't actually sit me down and say, look, we don't really want you here, because I was doing too much for them. So they just let me think whatever I wanted to think.
Hello, Stephen.
Hey, what's up? How are we doing? Hey, Vincent, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm okay. I don't know why Claire gave me the link. I don't really have anything to contribute. What are you prattling on about tonight, you two?
Well, we've already prattled on about the concubine contract that you didn't like.
Yeah, we
We're
talked
just
about
talking.
it.
Sounds ridiculous, doesn't it, Vincent?
Well, the point, so it's so that you can have a girlfriend, but if you get her pregnant, you're on the line for the child.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
can
you're
you
just sort of forced into a shotgun marriage.
imagine presenting this to any Western woman in the world today?
You don't have to do it personally. I'm trying to make it easy for you, Stephen. I want it to be the system already for, it's like you have to register your concubine contract. Otherwise, you could pump and dump her.
So here's the question: do you even have to do this in places like Saudi Arabia?
No, it's nothing to do with Saudi. I'm
No, but
creating that thing for you
but
guys. So of course
even
I'm not doing it in Saudi.
in the strictest Muslim countries already, do you have to do this? No.
No, they have these things called muta marriages and misya marriages,
Well, they already have a
Mujahid would
shot.
explain.
I'm sure they already have shotgun marriages where somebody will suddenly discover, oh, whoops, we've been secretly having this relationship. Now you're pregnant. Now we've got to pretend like we were married before the baby pops out. I'm sure that goes on all
Yes,
the time.
yes. So
So what's the difference?
because there needs to be an understanding. So basically, what I'm proposing is a going steady girlfriend concubine contract. That's what it is, and I did it just for you because
Nobody wants a contract with a
I
girlfriend.
know you don't want to, but I because you'd be too embarrassed to tell. But I'm just saying, if this were the case, if everybody knew about this thing, then the girls would be saying, "Oh, are you two going?" They say to ask each other, "Are you going steady with that Stephen? You've been, seeing him every Saturday for the last, 3 months or whatever." So
Yes.
and she might think, oh, maybe it's time I ask Stephen to, put his name on the contract. And then if he refused, then she'd say, well, I guess I'll be moving on to somebody prepared to sign a contract with me, and then you'll have to move on.
This is way too much trouble. Way too complicated.
It's not complicated at all.
Oh my God, Claire. It's way too complicated.
No, but you're on a fast track, and then when the baby pops out, you don't even have to marry her because on the day the baby pops out, will be deemed to be the day you marry her. So
Oh my God.
yeah, so it's cheap.
Well, look, this is a wonderful fantasy world you live in. I don't know what the fuck you're on about.
Okay, what do you want?
Vincent, save me from this woman's insanity, please, dude. What the heck?
Well, it's, this is the problem with heterosexuals, that the problem with heterosexuality is that you're fertile and that children can be brought into it. And so,
Yes.
Claire says that the only way to keep everybody in line is to fucking whip you if you have a child outside of wedlock. And like, you know, in America, maybe that's the truth, because 50% of you, isn't our out of wedlock rate 50% now?
I think it's 50% in Canada, over 50 in the UK, but I'm sure it's much worse.
Okay, like, you know, it's just, you know, without whipping you, without using corporal punishment to keep you in line, you're incapable of having children inside wedlock.
Yes, but it's so what? So what? So what?
It's a problem. You're just getting
Who
more and more
cares?
degenerate. And that's the trouble. Once you're degenerate, you don't care about being degenerate. And then it just gets worse until you're finally taken
Well,
over.
I'm afraid we're kind of post-marriage at this point. It's just, you know, we've lost that fight. I don't think we're putting that toothpaste back in the tube. People are, you know, they don't even care about it anymore. They only do it for tax reasons.
To Jamaica, you're going to become like Jamaica. They've got an 83% bastard rate. And now they're even hiding that report that I found years ago and was going on about.
Look, the only way that you can have these kinds of things, which you know really want, is to have the culture of shaming brought back in. But I don't think you can. I don't think that comes top down anymore, Claire. I don't think you can bring that back. I just think we've lost that. We've moved on.
Imagine if people in government said, "Yes, Claire, what a brilliant person. We're going to roll it out." If they did do that, and the BBC and all the other media outlets cooperated, it would be done. It would be done by Christmas. But
Yes,
you're
but that the problem is liberalism is the final boss. We've experienced liberalism now. You're not putting the toothpaste back in the tube,
Yes, of course you
unfortunately.
can.
Women aren't going to vote for their enslavement again. I'm sorry, it's not going to happen. Well, you do unless you're going to just take them over by force, which
a referendum, and then all the arguments would be put to people, why it has to be done, the degeneration and the regeneration required to, address the degeneration, and then I guess you can frighten, them with, I don't know, China taking over and the blacks from Africa all descending on you, and all kinds of horror movie scenarios.
Vincent, do you agree with me that liberalism is the final boss and we're never going back to this kind of culture that Claire wants? Even liberalism is probably going to defeat Islam.
I believe there's going to be a swing. I believe there's a swing back already. I think that people, it will either be Islam or Noahitism that is the swing back.
But Global Homo will win in the end. Global Homo is going to win in the end, isn't it?
But it won't be forever.
No, I'm scared that it won't. I'd like it to, but I'm scared it won't. No, I'm not one of these people that is so triumphalist, and I'm scared. I see it going in the other direction. I see people more and more turning against LGBTQs and, looking, and I see all these white right-wing nationalists are, even though they don't love Islam, they'd rather be friends with Muslims than with gay people. There is a white right Islamic alliance growing now. There definitely is. That can't be denied.
Oh, it's just because people just have the common enemy of. It's people who are just anti-Semitic. Basically, they have the common enemy of Jews. So there's this weird alliance that's going on, but I don't know. At the end of the day, these Muslims are so insufferable. Not all of them, of course. We don't want to do a hate speech, but not all. But at the end of the day, they're just so insufferable.
Why are they insufferable to you? What do they do that makes them insufferable to you?
They win all the arguments. And Stephen can't. They
No,
can't think of arguments
they're they're
other than their
obnoxious.
speech.
They're obnoxious. They come from their own cultures and attempt to impose their way of life upon ours. And
But
like Claire,
what do you find so abhorrent about Islamic culture?
it's just not ours.
Okay,
Just
but
not
what?
interested. Just not
Okay,
interested in it. I'd rather not have it shoved down my. The way in which it's shoved down your throat is the obnoxiousness of it. I have nothing. Not I would love Islam to prosper in Islamic countries. I hope that they exist for another millennia, and I can go and visit them, have a look around, and say, "Oh, isn't this lovely? Isn't it weird how the ladies walking around looking like letterboxes, and all the weird buildings and stuff, and that's great." But I also hope that in 1,000 years, my country also exists as a quirky place that they can come and visit and say, "Oh, look, isn't it weird here?" Where all the women walk around looking like slags. But, we need to maintain our distinct diversity of peoples.
Okay, but I mean, wouldn't you prefer Islam over liberalism?
No, probably not.
Why
At the end of
not?
the day, because at the end of the day, I am like a liberal. At the end of the day, I'm a liberal within my own culture. If we weren't invaded, then we could have just all be free and liberal and happy together. But we're not afforded that luxury at the moment.
Well, don't you understand that you were invaded because you weren't following, the rules of patriarchy?
No, we're being invaded because all of those places around the world want to come here because it's so good. If it
Well, they were
wasn't so
also
good, they'd stay in their own
invited.
countries.
They were also invited because of the empire and everything. It's like, yeah, you have the entire world at your disposal. These people here, these people there.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that, of course. Absolutely. I don't blame any of these people for wanting to come here. I know that there are systemic issues. I know there are economic incentives. I know where, like, in this period of modernity right here, right now, where people have suddenly had access to information like the internet since, 1995 or whatever, and suddenly the smartphone since around 2010. So suddenly everybody knows they can come here, they can communicate together on social media, organize it. The pressures of modernity are just causing migration. I understand all that. I'm not one of these people who think it's, necessarily some grand conspiracy orchestrated in a dark room by people smoking cigars because they just want to, wipe out the white race. I'm not like that. I know that there are these natural forces at play, but they are causing us to be everywhere to become mixed up. And soon there's going to be no distinguishing features left in any of the places. And that really is such a crying shame, isn't it? It's a tragedy.
Well, then do something about it.
Like
No,
what?
you just
Become Saudi Arabia? No, thank
no,
you. I mean,
you won't
that's
become Saudi Arabia. Only Saudi Arabia is Saudi Arabia. Not all Muslim countries are
Well,
Saudi
yeah.
Arabia.
But look, Claire wants a bunch of white people whipping each other instead of, she wants us to whip each other in our own country.
It sounds so kinky.
God. Oh, what a state we're in here. I mean, God forbid.
We are in big trouble.
We're in big trouble. Yeah, big trouble.
I have the
think,
Have you
solution.
given up? Have you given up?
No, I haven't given up. I mean, look, the pressing issue of our time really is the demographic crisis that's happening. That's the one that has to be solved. It's not.
So what you have to do
It's
is
not
make
the moral. No, it's not the moral crisis, Clay. It's not.
because
can
it's a
deal-
moral crisis
No,
because
it's
it
not.
is to
That's just-
immorality.
No, because if the demographics are lost, none of that matters anyway. So,
No, you
And look,
polygamy. You can practice polygamy. You force white people to marry each other in their
no, look,
twenties, and you just have
as,
to,
as long as long as the demographics of a country are protected, they can liberalize to whatever degree they want, I think, to be honest. Look how degenerate, like, Sweden and Scandinavia and places like that and uh, ended up. The only mistake they made was opening the borders, really. That's
no.
kind
I
of the
think.
only mistake they made.
Well,
They'd be
I think
fine
they
if they hadn't have done that.
liberalised
They'd be
sexually
fine.
way
Yeah, but
before.
they'd be fine with their sexual liberation. They'd be fine with their homosexuals, their degenerate straight people. It'd be fine if they just hadn't have opened their borders.
Well, I always tell, yeah, the thing is that the West is the thing. A little bit of the problem has to do with capitalism. In that, look, if we didn't bring in all these foreigners, we would have less people, and yes, our economies
Yeah.
would be so robust. But who cares? Like, I don't need. Okay,
Mm.
the thing is that maybe you don't need fucking 3 houses and 2 cars and this and that, and like your lives would just be simpler. Just live simpler lives.
Mm. Yeah.
Live
It's
simpler, and it's just that the ruling elite, they want to have very robust, strong economies, and if you want to have this, like, mega economy, and your population isn't growing, you're gonna have to import labor, but it's not necessary.
no. At the end of the day, I mean, people get to demand higher wages. Look, I get it. I get it that businesses do better with an endless supply of labour. I do accept that argument. But all the downstream problems, I mean, look at the state we're in. I mean, and it leads to people like you, Vincent, sat there. I mean, are you still struggling for work?
Me, no.
Oh, do you have a job or have you given up looking?
No, I have one.
Oh, good. I mean, there's plenty of people who are in the position that, say, you were a little while ago. Able members of society who are just, sat there having to go to interview after interview and not, there's not a plentiful supply of decent jobs out there for them
All the
because there's
jobs
this
suck
endless.
in America. They all suck. Nobody pays.
Yeah.
They pay managers like $14 an hour for a manager. It's like
Yeah.
they pay nothing. You can't, and there's no way a single man on his own cannot live on $15 an hour.
No.
A single man on his own in America cannot have an apartment and a car and food and haircuts and this and that. Even if he does nothing else with his life, you would have nothing. You wouldn't be able to afford it.
Yeah. Do you live in a particularly expensive place, or because I
No,
know it varies wildly, doesn't it, in America?
no, not particularly expensive, but the jobs around here don't pay well.
No. Yeah. Are you in a city or in suburbs?
I'm like in the kind of country. I'm like in between a country
Okay.
and a suburb.
Okay. Yeah. It's tough. It's tough. It really is. I don't know how we're going to get out of this predicament.
With
I really don't.
radical policies. You- you-
But your radical policies, Claire, would bankrupt a country overnight.
no, it
So,
wouldn't. You're going to be
of course it would.
bankrupted anyway when China dumps its dollar holdings in one day.
No, that's just a conspiracy theory. China can't dump their dollar holdings in one day.
Yeah, because they don't want all
It's
these
not how it
Chinese
works.
investors crying. But that's the best way to punch the lights out of America. It would be
China's
quick, cheap,
dependent.
and not
China's
particularly
economy.
violent.
China's economy is so dependent on America that they can't bankrupt America. It doesn't
Yeah,
work
because
like
they
that.
want all these people to buy their cheap stuff. I understand.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So, look, we're in this pickle because the global economy has intertwined everybody so much that nobody can do anything to rock the boat, because the confidence of markets means that, like, Claire Court, if you came to power on Monday, then there would be capital flight on on the Monday immediately. So investors would rapidly pull their money out of the country. That would cause the stock market to crash.
It'll come back even if they go
There would
away.
be
But you just
a
have to
run.
calm
No, yeah, but
everything
you have to.
down.
There'd be a run on the banks. The Bank of England would have to step in. There'd be
We're going to
banks
rebase the
collapsing.
currency. We're going to be
There'd be bread
rebased the
lines.
currency.
There'd be bread lines by Thursday, and unless you were a sole dictator with an army, like keeping the people back, you'd have to resign on Friday. Otherwise, you'd be ripped out of office and like hung on a lamppost. God forbid.
Well,
So
I wasn't
this is why the
planning to be
economy.
dictator. I'm just.
Well, lucky for you.
But
Oh,
I
you're
think the
not
case
planning to be
can be
dictator.
made. The case can
No.
be made for a phasing in of what I propose. Phasing in, and a period of acknowledging mistakes. So I wasn't expecting anything particularly sudden. I think maybe an interview on the BBC or whatever, for the message to slowly sink in, for the penny to drop.
It would bankrupt the country overnight. Obviously,
Well,
let's
really
let's
bankrupt.
just be in the real world. Clerical, you're never becoming some kind of grand mufti of England in your lifetime. But if
I
anybody
want somebody else to
anywhere
take the
close,
job.
yeah, but if anybody anywhere close, like even if it was Jeremy Corbyn, right? Even
Oh,
if
he's no
he
good.
just, I know,
He's
but
not
just
ruthless
somebody like,
enough.
I'm just picking somebody radically different than the consensus came into office.
I'd
They would
give the
immediately.
job to some CEO of some
Yeah, but the
public
economic
company.
shock would be so much that they wouldn't survive
No,
more than a
no,
week or
I've
two.
already
Look what
had
happened to Liz
plans.
Truss.
There's going to be licensed brothels. There's going to be slavery.
Oh my God. This is just fantasy land.
Okay,
there's
we'll
no
just carry
practical.
on and slide into degeneracy while you moan, either more loudly or more softly as the energy drains from you.
Yeah.
Why can't we just discuss the problem and the solution in theory? I guess it's a big thing.
Because it's not it's not the end of the problem.
You're
You
still
have to have
talking
some.
about elections. I saw that video. I didn't even watch it. Oh, the
I know you're not
Tories.
watching them. Hey, they're doing good
I watched
numbers,
some
so
of
that's why I've
them.
been making them. That's why I've been making them. There's an audience for that kind of shit, so I've been making it. You can't
But
blame me.
people who still think an election, is going to help them. I guess there was
But
once
look,
a time, but
I'm black-pilled on voting. I don't believe that voting matters. So, but on an individual level, nobody can convince me why I should go out and vote, because even the closest election isn't ever won by one vote. So it's just irrelevant to me why I should go out and vote. But if I have a platform and I can speak to thousands of people, there's always the potential for one of my videos to go viral. I've had a few of them at the minute that have got like almost 3,000 views, which isn't bad. That's like knocking on viral potential. Just if I've got a little bit better pushing the algorithm, they could be like big videos. So
which
I see
ones?
that I'm. My one's by the Conservative Party. There's a few of them, and there's a few of them that have got like 2.7k views in the last 2 weeks.
About the Tory parties. About Tory party?
Yeah, it's like
Right. I can't even
Labour.
make myself do a video about Charles and his, that bloody picture.
Yeah.
Do
Is
you have
Vincent
anything to say
vacuuming?
about the bloody picture?
Oh, it looks disgusting. What an absolute eyesore. What do you think about the conspiracies of it? Have you seen those?
Well,
You
I
can see
listened to
like,
what Andy Wiki said, but I think it's just a distraction. I think they keep the royal family going just to make people argue with each other about conspiracy theories, so we don't really talk about the real things that we need to talk about, like secular Quranism.
oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, the royal family is just sort of like, oh, let's just distract the female voters, and make them talk about Meghan and William and Harry and well, that's what they're
No, it's
for.
not.
And then
No,
we're going
it's
to paint a
not.
funny picture of him, and they'll spend hours talking about it. I don't know, thousands of man hours when they could be talking about geopolitics.
That's a silly conspiracy theory, Claire. That's not why the royal family's there. The royal family remains today because it's an institution and is how the constitution is set up, and it's just a holdover of an earlier time and the way the constitution was drawn up, that we have this head of state who is above politics, so to speak. So that's all it is. And in today's world, they're led around by the nose, just doing media stuff that they don't even have a clue what they're doing. Like, I saw William 2 weeks ago was like delivering food parcels to some community centre. He didn't, it just looks ridiculous. He's getting out of a transit van and handing over food to some community centre, and then this week he's standing up on a podium and saying that we need to fight resistance to antibiotics. I'm thinking, you haven't got a clue what you're talking about. You don't know anything about these subjects. You're just like led around by the nose into a room, given a piece of paper, and you read it out, looking like with this really sincere expression on your face and the furrowing of your brows, and you shake people's hands and then you go away, and it's just like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? But yeah. William is an odd character.
Why'd you say that? He seems very dull.
He seems to vacant, I think. And he always does look like he's being led around by the nose.
I think they all are.
Well, I know. If you see Princess Anne, for instance, she doesn't come across this way. Like, she'll go to various different functions and that, but she doesn't ever seem like just totally out, like a duck out of water in a place.
Well, I think William is not very bright.
No,
And-
I think that has a lot to do with it.
And I think Charles, I think he's asking too many questions, and they're just sort of, I don't know. I mean, what was the official reason for that stupid, bloody picture thing? I think he did it to somebody, some woman, but it looked okay on her, the pink effect, but what was the
Wait, I
background? I
saw,
didn't even.
what was this picture? I saw something, somebody posted something. There was a picture of a painted picture of an ancient king, an ancient English king. And then there was a picture of Prince Charles, and it was all red and weird. And like, they were like, what happened?
Yeah.
What is the story behind this?
It's the official portrait of the first official portrait of the king. I mean, Claire, I'll share my screen. Just stick my
All right.
screen on the thing. There it is.
And who made it? A woman.
No, it's a
No,
man.
this guy.
This guy on the left.
This artist, what's his name? Some Jonathan Yeo. But there's a controversy about it. There's a conspiracy theory about it.
What is it?
Have you not heard it? I thought
Well,
Andy
I
Nowitzki
want
would
you
talk.
to hear it from you.
That if you mirror the image,
Oh, it looks like
if
a
you put,
butterfly, and it has sinister meaning.
no, it looks like Baphomet. You know that
What?
Baphomet.
I don't know what that is.
Explain, Vincent. Explain Baphomet to Claire.
I know what Baphomet is. Baphomet is that very, very, very famous picture. It's like Satan, but he has a goat head, and he has one hand pointing up and one head pointing down. It's like a satanic picture. It's very famous.
Oh, okay.
Hold on, I'll find something about it.
Yeah, I mean, I saw the video of the unveiling of it, and it's like, oh, did you see the horns when the 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 curtain was being pulled away or something like that.
So if you look at right, so if you put the pictures side by side, Vincent, look at that. Can you see
The Baphomet,
the demon?
yeah, in the middle.
Yeah.
How do you
That's
spell
weird,
this
isn't it?
thing?
Baphomet. Isn't that weird? I mean, that is weird. Let's be honest.
It is weird. It's a weird painting. It's just. It does look like a demon in there. I mean, I won't lie. I mean, I don't know if that's what they meant, but it does look like some kind of like horned beast. Yes, it does in the middle.
Yeah. Oh, look at that one. Somebody's color corrected it.
Where they color correct? Yes, it does. It looks like a demon. I won't lie. I mean, I think it's odd. I think.
And they put these people are known to drop symbols in things, so I wouldn't put it past an artist to be sticking weird esoteric symbolism in paintings.
I hate that shit. I hate esoteric symbolism and shit. I hate that shit.
Why do you think they do it?
I think that just come out and say it. Just come out and fucking say it. Don't. I hate all that like that's why I'm not an artist. I'm a writer. I actually just want to actually say it. You know what I mean? I want to actually just put it out there and tell you exactly what I mean. And I don't want people guessing. And I don't want I don't want ambiguity. And I don't want you coming up with your own opinion. I want you to have my opinion. And it's
before
like
I posted it, I wanted to.
Oops. Yeah, I don't know whether they put it in there. Right, one of my conspiracy theories is that these people put it in there for conspiracy theorists to find, and they just like laugh about it. That everybody takes it seriously. Like, I wonder when Madonna is doing. She's well known for doing all this stupid symbolic stuff, like throwing Illuminati signs up and all this kind of crap. And I wonder if they're just doing it to have a laugh at people, to like drop these clues in there for conspiracy theories to find, basically.
Wait, play that one that you just played. It looks like they added. It looked like they added to it.
They've turned it upside down, I think.
Well, they just stretched it out. Did they add extra imagery in there, or is it really just side by side, or did they add something to make it look like that? Look, that doesn't look
You see how it just panned open like that?
Yeah.
Well, if it's if it's panned open like that, then I don't believe it. But I mean, people are so fucking dishonest. People are so dishonest. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Okay, it also
Oh,
looks
look at that.
like that way round
Wow.
too. That's the Baphomet right there, Claire. Right there.
Yeah, they're holding onto the horns. His hands are holding onto the horns, yes?
It looks like a
Yeah.
Baphomet both way round.
That's weird.
Very sinister.
It's a sinister. I'm surprised that, the royal family. The royal family's so dumb. They're letting all these Muslims in who go around screaming, "I don't give a fuck about the Queen." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think the royal family even has a say in immigration policy.
Well, they have a voice and they could say they're against it.
Well, the thing is, if they said anything, then they'd be gone. I mean, Charles has always had a bad press, and I think it's because he asks too many questions and takes too much of a political interest. I mean, the Queen knew just to follow orders and not do anything. I imagine if you were king, it's like, well, you want to know a few questions. You'd be asking a few questions, I imagine.
Like
And the
what?
thing is, they can't do anything without it being observed or spied on.
What questions would you be asking?
Well, it depends on who I'm asking. I guess I would be. I mean, okay. He said weird things like, "I don't want to be a defender of the faith. I want to be defender of faiths," and and people kind of went ape, and they said, "Of course you have to defend the faith, the church, the Anglican Church," and I think he's important because this country is still the most powerful Christian kingdom in the whole wide world, commanding the most territory, and being very useful to the Americans.
Well, he couldn't change the coronation oath because it is the coronation oath, and I'm afraid that's just what it said within it. So,
Well, he can't do anything like that, but he can say, well, I mean, he can do interesting things like convert to Islam. Then he'd go out with a bang rather than a whimper.
oh my God.
Well, at this point, I don't think anyone. At this point, it would probably help his popularity if he converted to Islam. At this point, I think, if the royal family converted to Islam,
No.
it would give them more power, because then the Muslims would start viewing them as real monarchs and treat them like the House of Saud and whatever. Yeah, actually, if I were King Charles, popularity minister, I'd tell him to fucking convert to Islam.
But then he'd be kicked off. He'd be forced to abdicate.
You would see all of the British Muslims come out and support him.
But he'd still be forced to abdicate, and then the job would go to William.
Who said he'd be forced to advocate?
You cannot succeed to the throne if you're even the wrong kind of Christian. So if he converted to Catholicism,
they would make it would
be forced to abdicate or become a Calvinist or whatever, a Mormon or whatever. He has to be Church of England.
I'm sharing my screen.
Okay. Oh, that's sweet. You look so pretty in blue. When was this?
They visited Hayes Muslim Center or something.
How disgusting is she putting that fucking thing on her head? Like, you
They
know,
messing around in their hijabs and being. I mean, she looks pretty.
no, yeah, well, but
It's quite.
she, as a modern woman, I have no sympathy for women when it comes to Islam because all they're doing is capitulating. Did you see all the 25 Australian women converted to Islam, over the and these liberal women that are now wearing hijabs to be in alliance with Palestine? It's absurd and disgusting. And women are just they have no right, they have no entitlement to their rights because they don't defend them.
Well, you can't expect women to, it's like traditionally women didn't have principles because it wouldn't help them, and if they did, then they'd end up being killed. I mean, as it was, they were just, taken away as slaves. And I think one of the reasons why women are supposed to be better at languages than men is that, once they were carried away by the enemy men, they would have to learn a new language. That's why they're so good at learning languages. And obviously, being weaker than men, there's no point them fighting over anything. It's for men to defend principles. I've been trying to tell people, that is a problem of feminism. So we get, men who think they're women and they're looking, they're the damsels in distress looking for their knight in shining armor. And this kind of, makes women think, you're muscling in on our territory. We're the ones who are supposed to be damsels in distress.
Yeah, well, fuck them because they're just going to capitulate to Islam, and there's no saving them and their enemies. And
Yeah, but the men are supposed to prevent that. I mean, if you were a woman, you would say, well, what do you expect me to do? I can't fight the enemy, with guns and soldiery and stuff. I look upon men to protect me, and if you don't protect me, I guess I'll have to go with the enemy. What else do you expect me to do? Oh, this reminds me of I think I was talking to Mujahid about this woman who married the murderer of her husband, and then I was reminded that Anne Neville, who married Richard III, Richard III killed her husband and her father, and she still married him, probably because she had no choice. But anyway, she settled into her new role as queen. I mean, really, this is what, women would have to, put up with if their men don't protect them. That's an old one with the late Rabbi Sachs. That's a huge kippah. But actually, if you go to a mosque, there'll be, hijabs and things for you to wear, in case you don't, in case you don't have one. But that's an enormous cap. And the bigger it is, the more religious you are supposed to be.
so,
That's quite a big one. That's a big one. What's that symbol? Do you know what that symbol is? The three-headed
I don't know.
snake thing?
it looks like Freemasonry there.
He does. But he's not a Mason, is he?
Oh, come off it. I mean, it's but the king is above masonry, whatever.
I think Philip was a Mason, wasn't he?
Who is the head of the Masonic whatever in the UK?
I thought it was Philip.
No, it's one of the others. Head of Masons.
Duke of Kent.
Yes, Duke of Kent.
Grandmaster.
I still don't know what Masonry is all about.
Masonry
Don't
is now.
understand.
Why do you insist that the Noahide laws are nothing?
Because I just don't think they are.
Well, I'm glad that for a while everyone did, but I'm glad I've been, on Twitter and I've been looking on posts on Noahide, and it's really blowing up now. People are really starting to catch on.
Quite a few of your stories are old stories, the ones that you posted.
Yes, but not all of them. And, Kentucky and Illinois just, recognized them 2 years ago. It's not that old. You always bitpick. So I'll share 10 stories and you'll find one from 2012 and be like, oh, it's from 2012 when there's tons of relevant stories I've already posted.
Well, I mean, on the one hand, there are people who think the Noahide laws are apple pie and motherhood, and that there'll be, these other people who think that they are a Jewish conspiracy.
Well, I just don't even understand. For someone who's anti-Jewish, it's very good propaganda material, but you're just ignoring it.
Well, I don't know. People are just so obsessed with Jews that there's always some kind of Jewish conspiracy theory going. So I tend to dismiss that, instinctively. I mean, I just don't see how they can, go with the Noahide laws, because the moment it gets any bigger, the Muslims will just say, look, don't you know what they're going to do to Christians?
All those articles of all those Muslims praising the Noahide laws. No Muslim cares.
Yes, that one.
That was one. What about those 10 that I showed?
No, well, I showed you that picture of. Okay, there's this Muslim in Israel, this Imam in Israel, and he was all right about the Noahide laws, and then I found a story about his car being vandalized because he was being too friendly to the Jews, and that's not allowed.
Look, there's this new video out now of the Noahide laws being posted in Palestine. All the people posting it are white Christians. Oh my God, look what's happening in Palestine. Look what's happening in Palestine. The Muslims don't give a shit. They don't give a shit. Muslims are not our friends against the Noahide laws at all.
I think my theory about the Masons, don't you, Stephen? I'm saying that the purpose of it is to keep Christians in a fraternity with Jews and Muslims, so that when it's safe for the Jews and Muslims to point out to Christians that they are idolaters, this will happen, and then Christianity will fall like a house of cards, and then the Noahide laws will come to pass in the form of Sharia.
Well, I don't know much about it. Vincent would know much more about it than me. I kind of get the impression that it is some form of way of the Jews to just exert influence among Christians at the highest levels of society, probably. But then again, I don't know if it's one of those kind of organizations, men's clubs type of thing, that just got away, from... If it was... Look, what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say there's two arguments about Christianity and Judaism, that one is trying to control the other, and like the Adam Green theory that he puts out, that Christianity is like a Jewish conspiracy, and if that's the case, then I imagine that other organizations like Freemasonry could be like a Jewish conspiracy to keep Christians in check and all that kind of stuff. But maybe these institutions, that maybe they could have started that way, but they got away, and now they are their own thing anyway. I don't know.
Well, America was built on Freemasonry. if you think of the founding fathers.
Oh
So
yes, absolutely, absolutely. Like, I mean, just look at the $1 bill.
yeah, and I think they wouldn't have been so organized but for the masonry. And because America was a new territory, Belgian territory, they needed a lot of male cooperation to get things done. And also okay, I'm saying that only a certain kind of man who would be prepared to become a mason, and he would be married, I think, because if you're a bachelor, you don't want to be spending all your time going to Masonic meetings, because you'd be wanting to meet girls and courting them. But when you're settled and a married man, and you're not supposed to go to the pub and keep bad company, you'll be going to your Masonic meetings and learning your lines, and performing your rituals, and doing the sort of aren't we special in our boy gang kind of thing. And this would keep them out of trouble, and obviously they'd help each other, and then they get things done. And maybe this was more important in America than in the old world, because it's a kind of self-selecting group, isn't it? Because of the kind of men who would be chasing women would be in bars. But the respectable married men who don't feel they have anything to prove, who have a wife who doesn't mind them going out, they'll be going to these Masonic meetings and getting things done and sorting each other's problems out.
Yeah, I just don't know much about it. There's the conspiracy angles about it that I often think are just rabbit holes for the sake of rabbit holes. I don't know how much.
Well, when
How
you
much to
come
put
to
into it.
London, you should visit Freemason Hall.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, it's only in Holborn, and it's free, and it's quite an
Yeah,
impressive building.
yeah. I would like to do that actually, probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, their impact is undoubted. Like, if you look at this image of Capitol Hill, like just how they designed it is like in the shape of this owl.
Hmm.
It was because it was one of the cities that was basically carved out from scratch, wasn't it?
Mhm.
Apparently, there's like strange symbolism all over the place in Washington D.C. because it was a
Well,
city carved out from scratch, basically.
there's a lot of fascist symbolism in American public buildings. The Lincoln Memorial, Lincoln's arms rest on the fasces.
Yeah, but I don't know why they insist on putting all this symbolism out there. Is it just like their stamp, their branding? Like we was here, kind of stuff, or does it have a greater meaning? I don't know.
Well, to give it symmetry, I think, because I guess in the old world, all the streets were, they just built them as and when they needed them, and planned cities, would be under some kind of grid system. And once you get a box, you can get a triangle, you can get all kinds of shapes, I guess, and then you'll want to play around with these shapes to make them look like something, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, and it's in the name, isn't it? Masonry, of course. It's literal guild of stone masons.
Yeah, I mean, the story, I think, is like, well, when Moses went up to Mount Sinai to commune with God, I mean, somebody must have carved out those tablets that he came down with, you know? It's that sort of idea, isn't it? And it's like, oh, it goes back to ancient Egyptian times, to Mosaic times and stuff. Yeah, yes, a pentagram. You see, once you have this grid system, you can make any shape you like and superimpose it and say, "Ooh, doesn't it look special and sinister and whatever?"
Sure, I think there could be a lot to that reading into it. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's,
But I
it's
mean,
basically a bunch of cubes, right? A bunch of squares, and then you.
there's no denying this. I mean, there's the pyramid. There's no denying that it was a bunch of Freemasons that started America, that founded America, and they stuck this symbolism right on the money, right there to let you know the all-seeing eye symbolism. I just don't know what it all means, to be
Well,
honest.
I mean, I can have a little theory because if it is true that Masons had something to do with carving the tablets on which the Ten Commandments were on, then it's like, oh, and Moses came out of Egypt, and in Egypt there were pyramids, and Moses and his people, they were meant to build those pyramids, but they didn't like the working conditions and they ran away, and the Pharaoh was angry, and I don't know, you can easily make a story out of it.
Well, the founding story of Masonry goes back to, is it one of the pyramid builders? Is Vincent still here? Does he know it?
Yeah, well, it depends on who you ask. Some say it goes back to the building of the temple in Jerusalem. Some say it goes to Noah. Some say it was in the pyramid. They have different legends.
Yeah, but the idea is, it's really old and mysterious. And if
And
you
who is
start
the
talking
guy at the
about
heart of
Moses,
it?
you think magic, parting of the Red Sea, God, burning bush.
It's Hermes Trismegistus, isn't it? Who is the central figure of Freemasonry?
No,
I
Hiram
suppose.
Abiff. No,
Oh, Hiram Abiff. That's it. Yeah. Go on. Yeah, explain it.
no. Well, I don't. All I know about Freemasonry is that they have admitted they're Noahides. That's the only part that I focus on, is their Noahide connection. I am not a scholar of Freemasonry.
What do you think
So
of it, though?
What?
Do you have any theories about Freemasonry?
I don't.
Oh, the Mason. Go on, Vincent.
All I worry about is their Noahide connection. I don't. I mean, I don't know where they came from or what they're doing. All I know is they're Noahides, and they've admitted they're Noahides. And I also investigate their connection to British Israelism and pyramidology. Um, During the time of pyramidology, there were a lot of Freemasons who were into it, and they were into British Israelism, and they obviously wanted to rule the world from the British Empire with the Jews. So I study that aspect, but as for all their legends and what it all means and where it all came from and all their ceremony, I don't know any of that kind of shit.
Do you know any Masons, Stephen?
No,
Maybe
I
you're the
don't.
highest Mason.
No, I don't know any Masons. The legend of Hiram Abiff is interesting because this is the central figure in Masonry. I'm just reminding myself about it now. So, Hiram Abiff is supposedly the chief architect of Solomon's Temple in Jerusalem. This is why it really is all related to Judaism at the end of the day, and it could be just like a secret society that was set up by Jews, basically to induct like leaders of people in countries around the world into like top secret societies to run things, and infuse it with all this like Jewish mysticism and stories. But it's the chief architect at the construction of Solomon's Temple, and I think he gets murdered. He was murdered or something, and Yeah.
How do you spell his name?
It's Hiram Abiff, Hiramabiff. And all the rituals that they have to do, you have to perform some kind of ritual. I don't get it. I don't know why they do this. It sounds a bit cringe to me. You have to perform some kind of ritual to move on to the next level of masonry in front of everyone. It just sounds like performing a play or something to me.
They have to
Sounds
learn their
really weird.
lines.
Yes, so they have to perform a play, and one of the rituals is when the murder of Hiram Abiff happened, and so the inducted mason has to be blindfolded and walked in or something, and then pretend ritually murdered, and it all sounds a bit weird. Someone once told me that if you're ever in trouble and you know that the person is a Freemason, you can say to them, "Is there no help for the widow's son?" And they'll go, and they'll go, "Whoa, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. I'm going to let you off." Apparently that's some kind of secret code that they have.
Yeah, I mean these Freemasons. I find something to be not totally, but I do feel as though there's something homosexual about the whole thing. Like,
Could be, yeah.
I feel, I don't know. I just
Boys
feel
club.
these, yeah, but all the pageantry and like the magic and the philosophy, and there was a saying in ancient Greeks. It was once a philosopher, twice a sodomite.
That's a new one for me.
Yes, I remember that. I remember that saying. It was attributed to ancient Greece, but I know it's a saying: once a philosopher, twice a sodomite.
What did it mean exactly?
Well, that if that philosophers are gay, that that philosophy is gay. Basically saying philosophy is gay.
But I mean, the Greeks, the ancient Greeks and ancient Romans were known for their pederasty. Do you know that? Because
Yes.
so they kind of take in hand a prepubescent boy.
It still wasn't popular to be gay. It was still, even in those societies, it was still looked down on to be gay. Yes, there was a lot of it, but it was still not, you wouldn't, it wasn't what you would want your son to be. It's not something that was celebrated like that.
Yeah, but I mean, I think they had a kind of window, like you're not supposed to do it after you're over the age of 30 because you'd be expected to get married, and if you didn't, people would look at you funny and think you were actually gay. But I guess that was a way of, well, I'm still getting my rocks off, but I'm not, knocking up, a prostitute or, somebody's daughter. That will get you into trouble. So I think it's quite common. I mean, the Afghans practice it apparently. What's it called? Baji baji or whatever it is. Yeah.
Disgusting, by the way.
The Freemasons or the
What'd you
Knights
say?
Templars worshipping Baphomet. There they are worshiping the Baphomet. Some people accuse them of worshiping Baphomet, and they take these things too far. I just focus on the Noahide. I don't get into all. Also they're very connected to Kabbalah. There's lots and lots and lots of information on Freemasonry and Kabbalah, both Jewish and Freemason people admitting that Kabbalah is the basis of Freemasonry. So that's not That's not a conspiracy theory at all. That's actually just fact.
And talking about Baphomet, which is really another name for the Satan, isn't it?
Yes.
So I mean, I know that Orthodox Jews regard Satan as God's prosecuting counsel. So, it's not like he's some sort of bad guy or something. He's basically a servant of God, sent around to tempt people, get them into trouble. And, well, that's his role, because the whole story in the book of Job, which you may remember, was God and Job were just having a chat, and they and Satan were having a chat, and there was Job, and he was happy, and he had everything, and he was rich, and he had lots of children, and his businesses were doing well, and Satan said to God, well, obviously he's thanking you, because he's got everything he wants, but if he didn't get anything, what he wanted, would he be so thankful? And that was, how the story of Job started. So I guess I'm trying to say that God and Satan have a friendly, playful, even working relationship. He's not like some sort of a rat that God would kind of want to exterminate when he saw him. But then the Christian conception of Satan is something, rather different.
Yeah, see, this is all gay. With the shirt off, laying in the coffin. They do all these weird shit. There's something homosexual about all this. The blindfolding, and I don't know. There's something erotic about it.
Yeah,
Vincent,
you're supposed to trust your comrades.
Does this remind you of the average gangbang that you've been to in the past?
Yes, there's something gangbang about it. There is something like there is. It makes me feel it's homosexual.
Yes, it is, but the acting, and he's supposed to trust them, to do stuff to him, and they blindfold him, and they might be doing terrible things, but they don't. I think that's the idea. It's play acting. Yes, it could be homoerotic.
There's just something gay about it. I find it to be homosexual. There's just something very weird about it that I don't really like. This is like that, but this is what this
Yeah,
is.
it's sort of like that falling backwards thing to show you trust the
Yes,
people.
yes, but these are crypto homosexuals. It's not. I'm always disgusted because everyone always goes after the openly homosexual men. We are not the problem in society. The problem are the crypto homosexuals. It's men like this who are gay but don't admit it, and they're the ones that cause all the problems. Leave the openly gay men alone. Go after these people. I hate these types of homosexuals.
It is a bit strange, isn't it? Why are they doing all this?
It's like pageantry and look, they're dressed up in frocks, and it's just, and the blindfolds make it seem erotic, and there's something just very erotic about the whole thing, and laying in a coffin, like laying in coffins and macabre. This is not for like boring straight men. This is these are homosexual men who have too much.
I think you're onto something. I really do.
This is for homosexual men who have too much mental energy, and
I think Vincent is cracking the code right here.
yeah, no,
leave your wives at home and go to the temple and play, dress up.
Yeah, there's just something. It's like I don't even like it. It's kind of like theater, like okay, like not every man in the theater is gay, but do theaters attract gay men? Yes, they do. Look at him in the coffin there, and he's laying in the coffin, and look, this one with a crown. And, you know, come on. It's theater. It's theater. The Catholic Church Vatican attracts so many gay men because of all the ritual and all the pretty garments and all the pretty this, but it attracts crypto homosexuals. It attracts entirely the wrong kind of gay men. You want to be around gay men who are open. You don't want to be around gay men like this. Look at this. Does this not strike you as homosexual?
Yes, actually, now that you've said it, I think you've blown it wide open.
You know,
They're not camp enough to be gay.
Well, that's the thing. The crypto homosexuals aren't as camp, but this is camp. I'm sorry, you know, a straight straight average throw around bloke doesn't want to go do this.
No, I would cringe so much doing something like this. I mean, I hated drama at school. Ugh, it was my worst nightmare. I would do anything to avoid that lesson. I used to play truant and all kinds of stuff just to avoid it because I didn't want to do anything like this.
Yeah, gay men they like pageantry, they like, you know, they like ritual, they like, you know, I don't know why they like those things. It's disgusting. I'm not any good example of a gay man because I don't like any of those kinds of things. I don't like drama. I don't like acting. I don't like theater. I don't like fucking opera. You know what I mean? It's just, you know, this is just, it's repressed gay men. Look at this. Look at this. Come on with the dressed up in the robes and the crowns. Look at him laying down. How erotic is this? He's laying down blindfolded, and they're all around him like it's a gangbang. With swords.
Holding their phallic swords.
Yeah, with their swords and their knives. And you know, it's very, very, this is disturbing. Like, I wouldn't want to go through this ritual. This would disturb me. This would absolutely disturb me. This is disturbing.
Whose video is this? Is it yours or Stephen's?
Stephen.
It's mine. Hidden camera footage of a masonry ritual. It's
Are these American or British Masons?
I don't know. In Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it doesn't look like a very elaborate.
Because it's such a new building.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like it's
And
being
the
held.
fans.
Yeah. But they have the checkerboard floor and everything.
Yeah, because you need a checkerboard floor to know where you're supposed to stand and stuff.
No, it's a symbol of duality, apparently, Claire. Black and white.
Okay.
Dualism. You've heard David go on about dualism all this whole time, haven't you?
Gross. You know,
Oh wait, I think there's a bit with him shirtless. Actually,
when they're like, what is the? Yeah, look, he's walking around in tight booty shorts or whatever. Where was that? Him just with his pants off? There. Was that him with his pants?
Oh no.
Oh.
No, he's got pants on. But wait, I think he has his shirt off in a moment. Look here.
Yeah, this is come on. This is a homosexual ritual. These are gay men that can't admit they're gay.
We'll get the new recruit. We'll get the twig to get his shirt off.
This looks like a gay porn. Look at this.
I bet there is gay porn based on all this.
Yes, I'm sure there is some Masonic gay porn. This is gay porn. Look with the knives and everything. This is gay porn. And the secrecy is part of it too. The like, the secrecy.
So basically, everybody who becomes a member of this club has to go through this ritual of basically getting naked in front of all the others.
Yes, they have them show off their goods. It's ridiculous.
You'd enjoy it, wouldn't you? A little bit.
I would know. This is not my type of. I don't like this type of homosexuality. No. I'm just more like, let's just get down to it. No frills. I don't like rituals. I don't like games. I don't like flirting. I'm like, can we just get our clothes off and fuck and that's it?
Hey, I've just noticed something else about Freemasonry as well.
What?
So all these men are standing round and they have an apron to cover their erections.
That's what the apron is for.
What else? What else is it for?
Does this not look like a gay porn?
I don't know. I don't watch
Yeah,
gay
I'm
porn.
not sure. I wouldn't know.
Yeah, look, and now he's touching him. What's going on now? What is he putting in between? Look, he's undoing his cloak and look at this all around his waist, his naked waist, putting things around his waist. Stephen, would you ever go shirtless, blindfolded with knives around you, and get on your knees in front of a man like that?
Absolutely not, no.
Okay, you have removed the blindfold. I mean, this one looks young and attractive, but what if it was an old, ugly one? What if you don't want to take your shirt off? What if you are self-conscious?
Yeah, because it's full of tattoos.
Yeah, this is just with the candles and everything. Come on. Just...
Let's see if there's any more.
Freemasonry really needs to be thrashed. I mean, people need to be made ashamed to get involved in this. Yeah, I think people should be ashamed to be involved in all this. Okay, what straight men might do? Straight men, what's straight to me? Like, okay, I don't think every time men get together and do things, it's gay. But, straight men, you know what they fucking do? They do, war reenactment. You ever see the men that do that? They get dressed up like Civil War soldiers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yep.
That's more straight. That's more of, a war reenactment. Not secret societies. That's homosexual. This is not, I don't know. This is, straight men go play baseball, play basketball, go out for a couple drinks. Not secret meetings taking your clothes off.
I'm sure they don't do it at every Masonic meeting.
No, well, it's enough. And just all talking about, it's the mysticism too. Most straight men are just not that deep into Like I told you, the saying, once a philosopher, twice a sodomite. Like, most straight men don't want to sit around and talk about esoteric, deep symbolism of Kabbalah all day.
No.
That's what, churches have problems with their priests being gay because gay men are attracted to, like, the other side and ritualism and leadership and esoterica. And, your average straight man does not want to become a priest.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they want the bare basic, the goods and the bads and the do's and the don'ts, and then thank you very much. I show up once a week on Sunday, and then I'm not putting all the rest of my time. Most straight men don't want to sit around studying the Bible intensely and deeply like that all day, and learning about prophecy and these different kinds of things and eisegesis. Is that how you say that word, eisegesis?
I guess.
Or is it exegesis?
I think it's exegesis.
Exegesis. How do you say it, Stephen?
Exogesis, I believe, yeah.
Exegesis. Stephen, do you think straight men like exegesis?
I don't know what it means. Sorry, what does it mean?
I don't know. It's like getting deeper meaning out of scripture by, like, it's just like getting into the itty bitty details of scripture and like creating like deeper, broader philosophical ideologies and things like that.
Oh, look, I don't know. I can't speak for it because, I don't, but maybe I just don't have the intellectual capacity for it. I don't know. There's people like Keith Woods and Joel Davis and Arvol and that. Arvol's a family man. We don't know about Keith Woods and Joel, but so, there's certainly got to be straight philosophers out there. They can't all be gay.
Look, yes, but priestcrafts have a problem keeping out homosexuals. It's been known since the beginning of time. My father told me when I was young he didn't want me to be a priest because that meant I was gay.
Yes, and the reason for that is because it's an occupation where you could have an excuse for not having a wife, so you didn't have to reveal that you were a homosexual and end up a middle-aged bachelor, still in the closet, and everybody just like saying, well, why don't you have a wife? Well, they could go into becoming a priest. Well, I can't have one. I'm a priest, obviously. Ho, ho, ho.
Yes, but it's also the life. It's not just that. It's not just the fact that they're hiding they're gay. It's also the type of lifestyle that the priest lifestyle is something that's attractive to homosexuals.
Yeah, well, the clothing is certainly one. You dress up like a woman, basically, don't you, in a frock.
And the lighting of the candles and the incantations and, and the deeper meaning and, the intellectualism and things like that. And, it's just like, if you take the stereotypical straight man, he's anti-intellectual, he's anti-ritualistic, he doesn't like, the stereotypical straight, at the bar eating hamburgers and fries and looking for a girl. That, this is not that, it's just not his thing. And look at, and like the church, all the elaborate, ornate, designs of the churches and the elaborate artwork and all that other kind of stuff. It's all too like frilly. This is all too frilly for straight men.
Yeah, well, it's certainly not my cup of tea.
Well, it's not the average straight man's cup of tea. All these men standing here are homosexuals.
Yeah, you might have a point.
I'm totally sick of it. I would fucking scream at these men.
access to choir boys, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Hello, are you still
I'll
there?
be right. I'll be right back.
Oh.
I'll be right back. You and Claire talk.
I was sort of dozing away.
Me too. Me too. So,
All these rituals are needed for male bonding, obviously.
well, I mean, look, I don't know. Just because it's not my thing, like I say, I can't just shit on it and say anything bad about it. I don't know. They can't all be gay. I mean, that's got to be a bit of a stretch.
Well, they think they're just, a friendly society helping each other if they get into trouble, and they all believe in the same God. So why can't they, cooperate and be nice to each other? I guess that's fair enough. And then, of course, they'll have to do things together to bond with each other.
Yeah, I do think Vincent could have a point, though. He could be blowing Freemasonry wide open there, but the reason most people get into it is that they want an influential society where they can go and hang out with other accomplished people in the community. So this is like doctors, police
I went,
officers.
yes.
Yeah.
I did attend a dinner with, it was a Masonic dinner, it was ladies' night.
Yes.
And most people were lower middle class. I think one of them was
Oh,
even a
really?
dustman. Yeah, and there was
Oh my
one
God.
posh guy, one posh man, and his face had turned grey because he probably wasn't expecting to have to deal with all these. I mean, I didn't think he was enjoying himself, but the lower class, middle class people were quite happy. But I mean, they weren't posh. So I think it's
Right.
just people trying to meet a better class of people than what they would be used to, and prepared to give up their time. I mean, I don't think they're sinister people. I mean, yes, okay, so you get the Duke of Kent, but obviously it has to be somebody like that, right? It has to
Oh,
be somebody
sure,
quite high
sure,
up.
sure. Yeah.
But I know there are people who just sort of have this sort of pathological hatred of Masons. But I mean, I can't even explain it. I mean, I know the Catholic Church forbids Catholics from becoming Masons. But then I think the reason is that the Catholic Church doesn't want Catholics to mix with other kinds of Christians and Jews and Muslims in case they lose their faith.
Well, yeah, because centrally at the heart of Masonry is some kind of pantheism, isn't there, taught within it? I think
Well, the belief in the creator, they have to believe in the creator, because there was this discussion about whether Hindus or Buddhists or Sikhs are allowed to join, and some people were saying, well, actually, no, we shouldn't have these people in our. But it's also a kind of family tradition thing. It's like, oh, my dad was a Mason, and so I was, or he was a Mason and I refused to join, kind of thing.
I absolutely know. Like, even if I was a very important, if I was a very important person, let's say, I don't know, I'd had a really successful, I don't know, sporting career, and just because I'd ended up doing that, I knew like lots of celebrities or something, and therefore I had some kind of power just through knowing important people, and then I was approached to join a Masonic society. If I turned up and that's what they were doing, then I absolutely, like Vincent, I wouldn't be going back, because I would just cringe and die at being involved in anything like that. For one, I'd be bored, stupid, and then I'd cringe if I had to take part in anything like that. So, I mean, I just don't know who this absolutely appeals to, and it really is
It
a
appeals
bizarre
to
thing.
crypto homosexuals.
Yes,
It appeals to crypto homosexuals.
yes, probably.
You know, and like, you know, just you know, admit what you are and stop with all nonsense.
They
But okay,
probably have.
I knew two Masons and they were definitely not gay.
Well, I'm not
Why?
saying.
Because they had a wife.
Yeah, I mean that's well, that's no, that's the point of being a crypto homosexual. You're not obviously gay and you have a wife. That's the whole thing about crypto homosexuality.
I think one of them just enjoyed the whole thing about learning his lines and stuff.
Yeah, well,
Okay, well,
you have a
that,
wife and children, and on a Wednesday you just go to the temple and you hang around with the guys with your shirt off.
Well, instead of going to the pub,
well,
which you know,
I don't know. I think that I would be if I were a parent and my child was becoming a Freemason, I'd be worried they were gay.
but they probably wouldn't want you if you were gay.
Well, yeah, well, that's part of the whole thing. You don't know, you don't understand how crypto homosexuals work. Yeah, they'll be like, no gay people here because they really are all gay. Like this is the way. This is the way.
No more gay people here.
That's the point. The point is the crypto part of it, like you know that it's hidden. That's the whole. You know that's the whole part of it. They get off on it. They like it. They like the crypto homosexuality and you know that they have to hide it and to make it even harder to be gay so that it's more exhilarating. This is very common. It's a big problem. Crypto. Look, I'm telling you, all these gay men that are open and out are not the problem in society.
I'll be honest. After watching those videos, then it wouldn't surprise me if those guys like went into a back room and all undressed and soaped each other down in the shower. And they had some kind of excuse for it, like it was a ritual to cleanse the spirit or something like that. I think Vincent's onto something. I really do.
Yeah,
Do you have a local Masonic lodge, Stephen, that you might like to check out?
There is one in my town, actually. Yeah, I'm
Well, you
aware of
should give
one.
it a go.
No,
And tell
thanks.
us
I've
what
had
it's
it.
about.
Seen enough. I've seen enough. Just looks boring as well. Really, really boring. To be
Well,
honest.
they might be able to help you in your career or allow you to marry their daughter or something. You don't know.
Yeah, if I get my shirt off and perform for them. I'm used to that anyway.
Are you still training for do you still do your MMA thing or not anymore?
Yeah, it's not like you pack in constant, entirely. I still attend the gym frequently. That kind of stuff. It just drops off the competing circuit. For me, it was only ever really. There would be long periods where, you don't have a fight planned, and then basically it's just all intensive in a few weeks before a fight, where you just go and hang out at the gym with the trainer for a long period of every other day basically, or just in the run up to some competition, and then so it was all in spurts. Yeah, I still know all the guys there and still go regularly, hang out, take some classes, this kind of stuff. Still stay involved, but yeah, thrown the towel in terms of competition.
Oh, that's a relief, isn't it?
It is for my parents. Yeah, absolutely.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, everybody thinks, well, wow, he's finally become sensible.
Happens to everyone, I suppose.
Yeah.
So, the difference between boxing and MMA is, I guess, it's more theatrical and
No. Well,
kicky.
what do you mean?
Well, I don't know. It's sort of like, well, in a way, I prefer to watch boxing if I ever watch it. It's like I understand the
So,
rules and there's no kind of, dramatic kicks and stuff.
so boxing is just punching.
Mm.
Okay. Boxing is just punching with heavy gloves. 10-ounce
Yes.
gloves usually.
Yes.
Okay. Then there is let's go straight to the opposite end. Then there's MMA, which is with small gloves, 4-ounce gloves, which don't have your full fist enclosed in, so you still have your fingers out. So you can grab a hold of things. They're more like like big bicycling gloves or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And in MMA, it's almost anything goes. So you can grab somebody, take them to the ground, and continue fighting. And you can submit somebody, basically cause them pain until they say stop, and then the fight's over with. So everything goes in MMA. There's some things that you're not allowed to do just because they're like you can't punch people in the back of the head, for instance.
Can you
So
grab
there's
them by
still
their
even
goolies?
all that. Yeah, that's a
Okay.
foul too. So there's some things that you still can't do even in MMA, and then in between those two, there is what I do, which is either kickboxing or Muay Thai. And Muay Thai is known as the art of 8 limbs because you punch and you use your elbows, legs, and your knees. So you can kick, knee, and punch and use elbows. And kickboxing is a variety of Muay Thai, but is mainly it's not elbows, and there's no grabbing hold like in Muay Thai. You can grab hold of the other person as long as you don't go to the ground, and you can fight in what's known as the clinch. But in kickboxing, it's just basically punching and kicking. So
Claire,
those are
I'm
the
gonna
different
go.
varieties.
I got depressed. I got depressed. This all these crypto homosexuals made me depressed.
You need to
Why?
Vincent. I think for your next blog, you need to investigate the world of crypto homosexual masonry.
Yeah, I think I'm going to. I think I'm going to write a rant about them because they really just made me depressed. And those priests, those Catholic priests, made me depressed. I'm just depressed.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go.
All right, we didn't.
All right.
Bye.
Good talking to you, Vincent.
Bye.
I think I'll probably go as well, Claire. It's late.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you both for coming, and yeah, it's good
Yeah.
to talk. All right.
Okay. See you next time.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.